Hi, I'm Cassidy Questorf, Executive Director of Klamath Film. With me today is Jeremy Taylor. He is a writer, or director, and actor in Security Plan. Jeremy, thank you so much for being with us today.
Very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So you grew up in Redmond, Oregon. Can you talk a little bit about growing up and then wanting to go into the film industry and kind of your start from there and where you are now?
Wow, growing up in Redmond. Uh, so I moved here in 1985 when I was in first grade, and back then I was like one of the only Asian kids in town. I heard about this other Asian kid, but he went to a different school, and things have changed a lot since then. But back then, it definitely I kind of felt like I was on other people's turf growing up, I guess. Um, could have been way worse, but I mean, just when you asked me like on the fly to think about my childhood, that definitely was
Totally.
part of it. Um, when I was in third grade, my eyes got really bad, so I had super thick glasses that made my head look like it was about that small when you looked through them. So I had this really bad Steve Urkel phase for a long time, and so I think of that a lot when I think of my childhood.
Absolutely.
But being like a nerdy kid who got a VHS camcorder when I was in junior high, I used to make, funny videos with my friends. And I did a little claymation project when I was in junior high for the yearbook. And interesting side note, when I was a freshman in college, I went to OIT and actually lived in Klamath Falls. Thought I was going to be a civil engineer. And then I had this one day, my third term, while I was staring at a microwave while I was microwaving dirt so I could reweigh it. And I was like, I like math and it comes fairly easy and everything, but I don't want to microwave dirt so that one day I can stare at a bridge and know that I was one of 300 people that made this bridge. So I ended up going to the Art Institute of Portland, getting an animation degree, and then I moved to San Luis Obispo, California. Kind of fast forwarding a little bit, and that's where I got into acting and filmmaking.
Wow, man, all kind of starting in Redmond and then that pivotal moment looking at a microwave. You never know what happens in front of a microwave. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, welcome back to Klamath Falls, at least virtually right now.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
Okay, great. Yeah, we're really excited. And yeah, I understand that you kind of had some direct inspiration for Security Plan itself through another movie that you'd watched. Do you want to talk a little bit about your inspiration for Security Plan and kind of putting yourself in a character's shoes?
hmm so there's a movie called Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it. No.
Highly recommend it. It's Sidney
Okay.
Lumet's last movie that he made before he passed away. It's got Ethan Hawke and Philip Seymour Hoffman,
Okay.
and they play two brothers. One is seemingly successful, the other one's kind of down on his luck, similar plan, and then they scheme to rob their parents' jewelry store. And I was thinking about um, kind of how desperate your situation would have to be to conspire to rob your parents.
Hmm.
And then I was thinking of my background and the other actor, Scott. We both know what it's like to be half Asian, have an Asian mom, and I've worked in restaurants most of my life. And I was just thinking about something that would resonate more with me. And so I kind of changed it and then took it in a different direction.
Absolutely. So you both have that personal ties and you knew Scott before the film. So you got to work together with him on this film and act together. What was that like kind of acting with a friend and everything with a personal tie to the story?
Okay, so Scott, I had only met him once before
Oh,
then
okay.
in person, but we'd kind of chatted on like Facebook and stuff for quite a while.
Nice.
I consider myself very fortunate that I got him because he's much further down the filmmaking acting road than I am. And he used to run this thing called Film Trooper. It was like the number one filmmaking podcast on iTunes for a while. And
Oh,
he made a feature film in his house for $500, and he had this whole like thing kind of going with that of aspiring filmmakers kind of use him as a resource. And,
wow.
and but he and I were both in half Asian actor, and we'd get booked in these unfulfilling roles of just being like photo shoots or just playing the multi-ethnic dad in like corporate videos and stuff like that. And we both booked speaking roles on Grimm, but they're like a few words. Mine actually got cut out before they even filmed it because I got the schedule. So I thought it would be fun for us to do something with a little more meat to it, where we're actually getting to act and have dialogue that's how real people talk, and have it be serious circumstances where the stakes are kind of raised. And another side note on that, when Scott met up with us to finally film with when our schedules coordinated, he
Mhm.
had to leave the next morning at like 4 in the morning to fly to San Diego for Thanksgiving to meet up with family. And he was up with us at like midnight in this warehouse. It's raining outside. And I just kept being
Wow.
like, Scott, are you sure you don't need to go? And he's like, I just want to make sure you have everything you need before I
Aw.
leave. And he was like such a good sport. And I know he took a pay cut compared to what he normally gets paid. And he actually was the only one that got paid for the most part. It was just like
Shout out to
a
Scott,
one
shout
person
out to the
crew.
crew.
And
But yeah, shout out to Scott, shout out to your crew. That sounds like a really great group of people working on this film who, might not have usually worked on a film like that, but came out, and that's pretty awesome and pretty great. And you also got to use a couple different locations, right, for this film?
yes. So my wife at the time, her aunt and uncle owned a like a wire, like an electrical wire warehouse. I don't know what you'd call it, but they're kind of a big middleman for uh, like big commercial projects. So they have this huge warehouse. It was a great location, and it was kind of like 70s style, the interior, which I
Perfect.
really liked. And they just happened to have all of those awards and plaques on the wall to like indirectly symbolize Scott's success. And then Scott's self-help books are behind my character. And this is something I identify with. I've been a self-help book addict without actually following through for a very long time. And I think there are a lot of us that we read self-help books, we get that dopamine rush for the first couple weeks, but we forget that self-help books, they're not novels, they're workbooks, and you have to
Right.
keep working them. And you're like, oh, I'm not kicking ass yet, I must need to move on to the next book. And so to me, like, a lot of people might not get that, but to me there was kind of some symbolism there. And a lot of
Absolutely.
my professional experience is in the art department, and so um, just kind of having that attention to detail with like the set dressing and stuff was something that was fun.
Wow, neat. Yeah, and I know you made like the FBI costumes kind of from hand, and got that all together. And I mean, that's a lot of dedication to the film, and to kind of just getting it done, and doing it yourself, and with help, of course, from friends and family. But I mean, really, kudos to you.
Oh, thank
So
you.
yeah. And then also, I hear that you're working on a feature film. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, that's still kind of down the road a little bit. I'm
Okay.
trying to bust out some short films and just kind of um, make short films in close enough succession that I take what I learned from the last one into the next one. Because I think a lot of times when there's too big of a gap, you're almost starting from square one again. But the feature film you're talking about, I really would like to make a feature about my mom and kind of just follow her around. And at first I tried to like set up interviews and put up lights and like have her sit there and talk, but that's just not her being her cute natural self in her own skin. So I think I'm going to just hook up a lavalier, follow her around, and then while she's cooking or playing with a dog or gardening, just have her kind of tell me some of her funny stories from her childhood and what it was like to come to America. She has a pretty interesting story. Uh, came here with an eighth grade education from the Philippines. My brother and my dad both died when we were kids, so she's like this single mom, just working all the time to raise two boys.
Wow.
And she didn't believe in being on government assistance for an extended period of time, so she always had like 2 to 3 jobs my whole life. But she's a very grateful, happy person, and she's really happy for all the opportunities that America gave her, and she has a little bit of a different perspective than a lot of people right now. So I just thought it would be fun to kind of capture that while I can.
Absolutely. Man, she sounds like an amazing person, and that sounds like an amazing idea for a film, and how beautiful to get to kind of share your mom's story like that. So we look forward to seeing it in the future and the rest of your short films that you're working on. In the meantime, is there anything else you'd like to say about Security Plan, or anything that you hope people take from the film?
Oh, um, I'll probably think of 10 things after we get off the call. But if I'm looking at the audience, I just want to thank them for coming. And I have to give a big thanks to the Klamath Independent Film Festival because there are some festivals, I'm not going to name any names, that are, it's like they're in Oregon, but it's like, are you really in Oregon if you're not, if you accepted like one short film from an Oregonian this year? And I love what you guys are doing. I love the Ross Raglan Theater, and that's just such a cool thing, and I'm really honored to be a part of it.
Oh, well, thanks so much, Jeremy, and we're honored to have your short film in it. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing and all the hard work you're putting into your passion. And we're excited to show it at the Ross Raglan Theater this year. So thank you again for your time, and thanks everybody for watching this Q&A.
Thank you very much, and hopefully this will just be one of many for us.
Absolutely.